Hello there, friend. It has been one of those weeks. It's not been a particularly bad week, but you know when some things just haven't been quite going to plan or in flow? And so I've had to remind myself of a few things, which has led me to think of this episode idea that I am sharing with you here today. Welcome to this new episode of Voice Notes from Samio. Today, I'm going to be sharing 11 important reminders that you didn't know you needed today. I'm actually going to throw in a bonus point to kick things off. Because is this the second time today that I am trying to record this episode? Because the first time I recorded it, it was completely out of focus. Maybe. And so I had to give myself a little bit of a timeout, not going to lie. I've come back with refreshed energy. I'm ready to chat your ear off for the second time. Well, it's for the first time for you, but it's for the second time for me. And I had to remind myself that it's not the end of the world and it's going to be okay. Maybe it's taken a little bit of extra energy, but you know what? I'm going to take this as a sign to always check my autofocus. I think we're good. And hopefully I'll think of even more nuggets of wisdom to share with you throughout this episode. Number one is nobody cares about what you're doing as much as you do. Now, I guess you can look at this in two ways. You might be thinking, well, if nobody cares, then what's the point? But I didn't say that nobody cares about what you're doing. I said nobody cares about what you're doing as much as you do. And this can actually be quite a powerful reframe because when you are stressing, overthinking, worrying about how you're perceived and what people will think when you do X, Y, Z, wear this outfit, do this, go there, actually, people don't care as much as you think. And I know with this current online climate on social media and everybody sharing their 2 cents on everything, it can be seen as that everything you do has a potential to be put under scrutiny. And I understand these days with camera phones and the likes of that, people can get a little paranoid that we are living in this surveillance state that we are also a part of contributing to. Heavy stuff when you think about it. But positive segue here. Let's not send ourselves into existential dread about this one. I would argue that the criticism and the nitpicking and the analysing that we see online is actually a really small percentage. I don't think the average person day to day is thinking about it that much, or at least they are not thinking about you whilst you're going about your day doing your normal stuff. And so with this in mind, we really need to not worry so much about how we're perceived or how what we do is perceived. Because I would go as far as to say that a lot of the time when people are either criticizing or they do have something maybe negative to say, not all of the time, but I would say a great deal of the time, it's often because that person is projecting or because they see you do something or wear something or be a certain way that they're maybe not fully confident enough to express in themselves. And so it triggers something inside of them and brings out a level of insecurity. And so for those people, when they see you doing something that they don't like for whatever reason or whatever things that they need to deal with, that's when they can nitpick and judge and say what they like. But most people actually don't. That's more likely on the internet. And chances are in your day-to-day life, people aren't going to say jack shit. And even if they do, like I say, highly likely they're projecting or displaying some level of their own insecurities onto you. But the reality is everybody is pretty self-centered. And I don't mean that in like a big-headed way that everybody's walking around thinking they're the bee's knees or whatever. I mean in the fact that whilst you're worrying about your problems, your life, how you're perceived, how you're doing looks like to other people and whatnot, other people have that going on in their head about their own life. And oftentimes, especially if you're a stranger, you're not even going to be a part of it. But with this all in mind, it really makes you understand how little people are perceiving you or analysing you as much as you think. So if you're someone who is maybe particularly paranoid or insecure or feels like they just can't show up in the way they want to show up because they're scared of how people will take it or how much they're going to judge or criticise, chances are they won't even notice. And if they do, they probably won't even care. People generally, and this is a great generalisation, people only generally care if they think it affects them. Hence, going back to the projection thing, if it brings out some emotion in them that they don't like, something that they're maybe pushing aside, that's when they might get a little bit uncomfortable. But for the most part, people really aren't bothered. And so when you're trying to perfect and preen and obsess over things, you have to remember nobody is watching you as closely as you're probably analysing and watching yourself. I've had it before where I've been out with friends and they've been like, oh, my skin's a mess at the moment. And I've been sat across from them and I've been like, I didn't even realise. And I've even said this with friends before. You have to realise that when you're looking at yourself in the mirror, you really get up close and personal. You really have a good inspection. So what you notice about yourself is going to be amplified. And the same goes for anything. I saw a meme recently and it really made me laugh because I felt personally attacked, okay? It was taking the piss out of when you spend ages looking for the perfect song for your Instagram story and no one cares. And it's so true. That's a very random example, but we all have moments where we really overthink things that don't need to be overthought that much because actually nobody cares. And when you start to think about this, it becomes really, really freeing because then the little things that might have held you back before because you think they're not good enough or you think people won't like them or whatever it is, you start to realize it's not that deep. Generally, people don't care. Just do the thing. Post the thing, wear the outfit, move to the different country if you want to do that, change your life, whatever it is, start over again. You ultimately have to do the things that feel good to you and not the things you think will be perceived well by other people. You see, I'm already off to a good start. I'm already feeling re-energized and I don't want to jinx it, but I already think this take 2 of recording is better than the first. So you're getting the better episode. It's all working out. Number 2, perfect reminder for today. It will probably take longer than you expect, so don't quit. I was ready to throw in the towel when my episode was out of focus, but here I am. Took a little bit longer than expected. I kind of jinxed myself with this one, but this is so true for so many processes. I think a really easy example, I'm going to talk about fitness and exercise again, because I can't go an episode without talking about it. But we're like with the gym and exercise. People want these overnight body transformations. They want a hot girl summer. They want to be snatched, whatever, the list goes on, whatever insert trend here. But anything that you want on a pursuit to health, fitness, all of that stuff, it's going to take time. It's not going to be an overnight fix. And anybody who's been on any sort of fitness journey will know that it takes time. And it can often take a little bit longer than you expected. But one day you'll turn around and you'll realize how much stronger you are, how much fitter you are, how much more snatched you're feeling, whatever that means for you. And you'll realize that, you played the long game and it paid off. And this applies to so many different areas of life. When I look back at so many different things where I threw in the towel because it was taking so much longer than I expected, I didn't think it was working and I quit. And this has been for numerous different things over the years, I might add. In hindsight, I've looked back and I've thought, wow, if I'd kept on with that thing, I could have actually got so much further along. I could have completed certain things. I could have got really good at certain things. I could have done the things that I wanted to do. And it's only looking back that I realized the main thing from stopping me getting to where I wanted to be with certain goals or achieving certain things was simply the fact that I quit. Some things are going to take a lot longer than others. Some things might take slightly shorter, but for the most part, a lot of things are going to take longer than you expect. So keep going. So if you're in a period at the moment and you're feeling like, whoa, I don't know if I have this in me. I don't know if I can keep going, but in your heart of heart, it's like what you want and whatever you're trying to pursue feels like the right thing for you. Keep going. Don't quit. Slow down if you need to. Take a pause if you need to. Rest if you need to. But don't quit. Number 3, and this is the big one, I will shout it from the rooftops. And if you know me IRL, you probably heard me say this one before, but wear SPF. Melanomas are real. I know people who've had them. Sun damage is real. And if you're into beauty and taking care of your skin, you could have the bougiest, most abundant skincare routine. But I would argue that without a decent SPF, you have nothing. Well, maybe a little bit dramatic. You could just sit in the shade. But generally, we're creatures, we like to be out and about. You will be in the sun occasionally. So please protect the skin. Wear an SPF. And I'm talking about wearing SPF on your face every day. Higher factor, the better, to be honest. I go with SPF 50, but even 30 would be fine if you're in the UK. And I even wear it indoors because where my desk is, it's at the window. So the UV rays do come through the window. I apply it to my face, décolletage, chest, all of that stuff. If I'm outside and it's a sunny day, you better believe it's a full body jobby. Full body jobby, that does not sound good. Full body application. It is effort. I have searched high and low for the right SPFs that aren't super sticky when it's just like a normal day-to-day scenario. I'm not about to make this a skincare video, but as someone who's in their mid-30s, I can officially say that now, and has pretty good skin, I would put a lot of it down to the fact that I am diligent with my SPF application. So if you care about nothing else in terms of your routine, obviously wash your face, but also care about that SPF. Number 4 is feeling behind in life is a scam. And it really is, because I feel like many of us can end up on this hamster wheel of trying to tick all the things off that we think we need to tick. There are no rules, only the rules that society has set and that we think we need to follow. And I spoke a lot about this in my recent video / mini short film that I created on my YouTube called Things I Learned at 34. And spoiler alert, what I learned is that nobody has it all figured out. And this couldn't be more true. And once I realized this, it was the most freeing thing ever, because seriously, we're made to believe all throughout our teens, 20s, maybe sometimes even beyond, that there are certain milestones and points we need to get to. And depending on your society that you live in or people around you in your peer groups, there'll be certain different things or milestones on those rungs of life that you maybe will feel under pressure or like you have to tick off in order to be deemed as successful. Success needs to be what it means for you and not what it means for other people. And I think a lot of the time it's really easy to fall into the trap of believing we know what our ideal of success looks like. But oftentimes we can just be following someone else's blueprint. Not always the case, but it's just something I've realized in society. If we don't take a moment to reflect and think, what do I actually want for my life? And when you do start to assess and think about those things, you actually realize you're not behind anything, because you're on your own path. We're each on our own journey. And I understand, as a woman, biologically, there are certain pressures if you are someone who wants children and you get to a certain age. I'm not undermining that and that feeling, but still you're on your own timeline with that. And also it doesn't necessarily need to look a particular way. We're always fed a certain narrative when it comes to, especially with like family and relationships and things like that. And when you start to explore more of the options out there in life, be it relationship, career, where you live, how you live, it starts to make you realize that you can actually imagine a lot of different things for yourself, and your life really doesn't have to look one way. And so this whole idea of being behind, it's literally bullshit. I'm sorry, but it really is, because who's the blueprint? Who are we following here? We're all just like lemmings following each other. No one knows who the leader is, and everyone's like, whoa, what's going on? And I'm not even taking the mick here, because I have been in this scenario where I've thought, oh, I need to do certain things, but I also don't know what I'm supposed to do. And when you let go of that and realize that nobody really has all the answers, has it all figured out, even if they may look like they have it all figured out, you realize that you just kind of figure things out as you go. And it's more important to enjoy the journey that you're on rather than worrying about someone else's and trying to follow their path. Number 5, social media really is a highlight reel, and it is not your reality. So the first part of this, how social media is a highlight reel, we all know it to be true. You've heard it 1,000 times. But still, we do sometimes need reminding, myself included, especially if, going back to my previous point, you've kind of got into a little bit of a trap of feeling behind. It's easier to look to social media, be it our peers, people we know, sometimes even our friends or public figures or influencers or whatever, and see what they're doing and think that that is the blueprint of how to be successful, be happy, have a good life, just do life, how to just be a human. But in actuality, you're seeing a really small percentage of people's lives. And even the people that will be real with show on the internet, because, there are people sharing quite real content, you're still only getting a fraction of the whole picture. And ultimately, you never know what is going on in the depths of someone's mind. So someone could even have it all, like what you perceive as having it all, and still not be happy. So you really don't know the ins and outs of someone's life. So it's important to not get caught up in comparison or feeling behind because this person's achieved this by that age or someone else is doing this over there, because it's ultimately a highlight reel. And while some people do have loads of amazing things going on, like I say, you don't know the ins and outs of it. And I think when we're getting sucked into social media, because you can get sucked into it, sometimes just taking a step back, and I've said it once and I'll say it again, but taking a break from social media can be really helpful, because you have to remember it is not your reality. Of course, I spend my fair amount of time online, but because I'm aware that I use it a lot, I also like to come off it a lot. And that's so important for me. Weekends, I tend to be on it very little because I value the time I spend with friends and family, my husband, my dog, who's asleep by the side of me right now. I wish I could show him you. He looks very cute. Anyway, I like to be present in those moments. So I have to put boundaries around it because I want to be present with people in my life. I want to be present with myself and just enjoy the reality. And social media can be a really fun tool and place to hang out occasionally. But I think we need to be really aware of when it's making us feel some type of way, or when we're getting a little bit too chronically online, as they say. That's when it's a good idea to take a pause and take a step back, because your real life and your reality and enjoying that as much as you can is way more important. And I often think about that saying, it really is that damn phone. And if I'm feeling particularly stressed or overwhelmed, or sometimes even a bit anxious, I'm not saying stepping away from my phone solves all my problems, but I've realized that it can actually exacerbate some of those feelings. So sometimes when you are quickly going on social media for a scroll to maybe escape some of those feelings, it can actually be doing the opposite. And then you can kind of get in a loop, and it tricks us because sometimes we get little boosts of dopamine when we do get something good. But then I also think the fast-paced nature of it all can leave us feeling quite heightened. So you know me, I'm all for taking breaks from social media. Like I say, minimizing time on weekends or whenever works for you. Taking a digital detox occasionally, which I love to do and would highly recommend. I have a video from a few years back on my YouTube, which is called, I think it's literally called, I took a digital detox, and I stand by doing that occasionally because honestly, it's just a great reset, and it just really refocuses you on being present and being in your own reality and getting out of that comparison mode, not having to look what everyone else is doing, focusing on your own path, focusing on you. So yeah, off on a tangent again, but just remembering that social media really is a highlight reel and it is not your reality. Number 6, you only get one body in this life, so look after it. This is something I try to remind myself every single day. And I realize that everybody has different abilities. And so this is whatever it looks like for you and however you can best take care of your own body. And when I say this, I also mean mind, because mind and body interconnected, and they're both just as important as the other. And in fact, sometimes when we're getting heavily stressed, and especially chronic stress, that can affect our physical body as well. So just really taking care of ourselves, treating ourselves like a little baby and doing the things that we need for our mental and physical needs. Sometimes we can get into habits that can creep up over time, and it can happen to anyone. And we don't realize until we're further down the line what a detriment it's having on either our physical or mental health or both. And so even just implementing the smallest habits can make the biggest changes over time. A bit like the point I made earlier, things take time, so don't quit. So whatever it is, it might be that you feel like you need to move your body more, do it in whatever way you can. You might be realizing that you are in a state of stress a lot. How can you take the load off, rest more, give yourself more dedicated time to relax, whatever it is? Take care of your body, because when your health goes, you quickly realize that not much else matters in those moments. So not the job that stresses you out, not the partner that's treating you like rubbish or whatever stresses you may have going on in your life. All you care about is trying to be as well as possible. And so not taking it for granted, doing whatever things you can do to take care of your body, your vessel, your skin suit, or whatever you want to call it, and the mind, of course, and realizing that even the littlest increments can make a huge difference over time. Number 7, and oh boy, do I regularly need this reminder myself. And this is growth is never linear. I think we've probably all been there with a particular journey in life. It doesn't matter what the journey is, whether it's fitness, whether it's a project you're working on, a business, work, relationships, whatever it is. I'm sure at some point in your life you've been there where you get that high level of naivete, shall we say, because you think the only way is up from here, onwards and upwards. And I am guilty of saying that one a lot. But sometimes that delusional optimism is needed, but other times it can come around and bite us in the ass because when the ship feels like it's sinking and you're still on board and you're scrambling, it can be a rude awakening. That's all I'm going to say. However, lifeboats are coming. You might have to build your own lifeboat, but they are coming. Weird analogy, but my point is, I think it's very easy to believe that when things are going good, that things are going to keep going in that direction. And over an extended period, and I'm talking a very long period, it probably is going in that direction. But when you break down the journey, there's going to be some bumps along the way. Sometimes you're going to feel like you've gone 2 steps back. And now when you're in it, this can feel testing. This goes back to my earlier point when I said, you got to keep going, don't quit. Because in these moments, you're thinking, whoa, am I on the right journey? And, sometimes it does require a pivot, a change, doing something different, moving on from a certain situation. It is all part of your journey. So take fitness again, for example. If you are on a fitness journey, I think people expect that, okay, I'm changing my life, I'm eating healthy, I'm exercising, I'm going to go from A to B, easy peasy. It might take me some time, but that's what's going to happen. No, baby, no. Along the way, you will have setbacks. Life happens. We've got to live as well. Do you know what I mean? You might have a period where you fall off because work's busy and you can't keep up. You might have an injury. You might just have a crazy summer where you're going out loads and you are going to the gym, but you've eaten a little bit more and drank a little bit more than you expected. But the main important thing is that you keep going. That goes back to the earlier point. You just don't quit. The journey might feel like you have some setbacks, and sometimes it can even be when you feel like you're doing all the things right. Hormones can sometimes play a part. Stress can sometimes play a part. Lots of external factors outside of our control. And it can be testing, especially when we do feel like, well, I am doing all the things that I should be doing. Sometimes it just can't be helped. But we learn so much from our setbacks on the journey, and this can apply to any area. Granted, in the moment, we might not want the lessons. We just want the fruits of the labor. We're like, right, okay, skip to the good part. I don't want the lessons. Believe me, I know this feeling. But in hindsight, when you're back on track and things are going good again, you're able to take so many lessons away from the setbacks you had along the way. And that's just like with the journey of life. And so when we're in these troughs, let's call it a trough because we've kind of dipped back down, or these periods where we feel like we've gone backwards a little bit, it's really important to remind ourselves that the journey isn't linear. Just because it feels like we're going backwards doesn't mean we're not going forwards overall, because when the momentum does pick back up again, when we are feeling like we're moving in the direction that we want again, we'll realize that those setbacks were a part of the journey. And most of the time, most people who've had some sort of setback are grateful for them because you learn so much from those setbacks, and actually it can help you in the future when something else comes along, or it can prevent you from making a future mistake. Like I say, not always an easy one to sit with in the moment, because I know we want the fruits of our labor now. We want the goal now. We want the end of the fitness journey now. But please, please, please remember, if you are in it now, if you're in the trough, if you're just feeling stagnant, just know you're not alone. You're not broken. The journey is not over. It's normal, and growth of any kind is not linear. Number 8, and this is an important one, wash your makeup brushes. You dirty, dirty, dirty person. And you might be thinking, oh, well, Samio, I don't wear makeup. So, well then, wash your water bottle. When is the last time you washed your water bottle? Go wash it. Go wash your brushes. Go wash your water bottle. Don't do it until you've got to the end of this episode. Thank me later. And if you don't have makeup brushes or a water bottle, skip this one. And if you're someone who is super smug and you have washed your makeup brushes and you've washed your water bottle, then well done you. You are winning at life. Number 9, if you wait... Sorry, let's do a rewind. Because this is important. Like, this is for me, okay? Number 9, if you wait... Oh, she's clapping as well. If you wait for motivation, it will never come. You have to do the thing, take the action, and then the motivation comes as you build momentum, and then it enables you to do more of the thing and keep going. I needed this one today. I needed it the first time around of recording this, and I needed it the second time around of recording this. You know what, actually, though? The first time around of recording this set me up. It gave me the momentum, it gave me the energy, and you're actually getting better energy the second time around. I will tell you that right now. I think we've recorded a better episode here than the first time. And it is because I took the action. I said at the start of this episode, it's been one of those weeks, and it really has. And I was just not feeling motivated. I was not in flow. I was waiting for the motivation. I was waiting for the inspiration, and it didn't come. And I know this because I've said it before. I've been here before. And that's why I needed this reminder on this list, because it's easy to get into that stagnant space. And we can also think that when we've practiced something a number of times and we've done things a lot, that, oh, it'll just be easy. But it can happen to us all. Sometimes we just don't feel motivated. But sitting around and waiting for that motivation to come along is not what's going to do it. Taking the action is what's going to do it. And the way I do this is I start super small. I make my gateway to entry as simple as possible. An example I'll give here is like with running. I love to run, but some days I'm feeling more excited and motivated to run than other days. So the days where I've maybe said I'm going to go for a run and I'm kind of like, well, I do want to go, but can't be bothered. I say to myself, okay, do a 10-minute run. Just run round your neighborhood and then you can come back. 9 times out of 10, I will carry on. I'll do at least 20 minutes, half an hour, depending on how much I get into the momentum. But giving myself that smallest possible point of entry into doing the thing enables me to just start doing the thing, which then builds the momentum, which then creates the motivation to hopefully carry on. And if you're not a runner, you'll be thinking, what a shit analogy. So I've got a different one for you. If you've ever needed to tidy your home or your space, which, unless you have a housekeeper, which sounds pretty fantastic to be fair, I'm guessing you've had to do this at some point, where you've looked around and been like, oh, like I seriously need to clear this space up. But it'd be way more appealing to sit on your sofa or lie on your bed and just scroll the internet or watch Netflix or whatever it may be. And so you got to do the things. So you go, okay, you know what? I'm gonna tidy a drawer. I'll start with the drawer. You start with the drawer, but before you know it, you've pulled out everything and you're doing a deep clean or a deep decluttering. We've all been there at one point or another. And that is a great example of where you take the smallest action, you build the momentum, you get motivated, and then you keep going. Before you know it, you might have bitten off a bit more than you can chew. We've all been there. And we're surrounded in chaos because we decided it was a good idea to start deep cleaning our entire house. But this applies to anything. So you've got to take the action and then the motivation comes. I think case closed with this one. Number 10, not everybody is going to like you. So stop trying to please everyone. You're not for everyone, just as in the same way, not everyone is for you. It's just natural that you're not going to vibe with every single person you come into contact with. And we can be amicable and we can be kind to people without having to bend over backwards and trying to please people and be something we're not in order to try and get validation from others. Because all you do when you try to please everybody else is you actually do yourself a disservice, because you let go and shed certain parts of yourself. And then it just means that the people who could really value from your truest essence, shall we say, your vibe. The word vibe is so overused, but we're going with it. Your vibe, the people who could truly benefit from that, maybe won't get to see it because you've kind of molded yourself and shaped yourself along the way to try and please everyone. So much so that you've just become there. And you can't win, because even if you try to be the most palatable, pleasing person, there's always going to be someone that takes a disliking to you. And it's completely okay, because not everybody has to like you. You don't have to like everyone, but just know that nobody, literally nobody, is liked by everyone. If you have a particular music artist that you love, I'm sure that whilst to you they might be the most talented artist, create the best music, and to someone else, they could think that sounds like absolute trash. And so this can be applied to all areas. So you may as well just do you, because the people who will vibe with you and the people who get it will get it, and the people who don't won't. And that is perfectly okay. And number 11, we made it to the last one, baby. You're going to laugh. I finished recording the episode and then my mic died. If I don't laugh, I'll cry. But we're nearly there. We're nearly there. Number 11 is you are worthy and you are enough. I cannot reiterate this one more, because the amount of times I hear people say things like, I'll be able to wear this when I look like that, or I'll be able to do that when I feel like this, and so on and so forth. And all that does is distance yourself from the thing that you want, or the thing that you want to go after. And you're basically programming your brain to believe that you're not worthy of said things or said pursuits. And the funny thing is, in going after those things, or in doing those things and building your confidence, in that, you will realize that you are worthy and you are enough exactly as you are. Granted that if you're pursuing a particular job or career path, it might require that you develop certain skills along the way or take certain courses. You are worthy of going after that thing and pursuing that thing as you are. Basically, you don't have to wait for a future version of you to be worthy. And it's also important to remember that your worth and your value isn't based on your achievements or your status or other people's approval. It is intrinsic. The more you start believing it, the more you start showing up like you are, and you start to see that the things you want and the things you want to pursue really are within your reach, and that you are capable, and that you are worthy to go after the things you want and do the things you want and show up the way you want, because you are already enough. That's all I've got for you for today's episode. I hope you enjoyed hearing these reminders. Let me know in the comments if any of these in particular hit home for you. Now you can go wash your makeup brushes, wash your water bottle, wash anything else you need to go wash. If you enjoyed this episode, please leave a like. Please leave a 5-star rating and review. If you are listening on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, it's very, very, very helpful. And if you want to do this again, hit that subscribe button, and then I can chat your ear off some more, because as always, I have thoroughly enjoyed chatting your ear off, and I will speak to you next time.